Hello students, welcome to TSAT classes. Welcome to the TSPSC Group 1 Mains program on Indian Polity and Constitution. This is your 𝗧𝗦𝗔𝗧. Let us start the class by understanding what we have discussed in the last class. In the last class I told you, which was a basic introduction. As a part of introduction, I discussed about the syllabus for Polity Constitution. I told you how to write an answer, what are the important points to be remembered, keywords, introduction, body, conclusion. I also showed you one question. Today, let us directly go to Polity topic, where we will start chapter 1. In chapter 1, these are the topics we have. The first one is the evolution of the Constitution. The second one is the role of the drafting committee, constitutional philosophy, preamble, salient features, basic structure and amendments of the Constitution. Almost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 topics are there. Total, we have 7 topics in this. Today, let us see some expected model questions. Expected model questions. Along with that, the answers, the content, how to write an answer, what we have to write for a particular question, how to decode this, what is a way to decode a question. All these things we will see now in this chapter. Look at the question. Look at the question clearly. Question is, constitutional morality is deep rooted in the Constitution itself and is the backbone of the Constitution. Full stop. Explain the doctrine of constitutional morality with the help of relevant judicial decisions. Now, whenever you see this type of questions, the first thing you need to do in your 12-minute allotted time is underlining the keywords. Underlining the keywords, understanding the keywords. Now, what are the keywords here? The keywords are constitutional morality. The second keyword is backbone. The third keyword is with the help of the relevant judicial decisions. There are 3 keywords. 1. What is doctrine of constitutional morality? The second keyword is why doctrine of constitutional morality is the backbone. And this should be explained with the help of the recent judicial judgments. Judicial judgments. These are the keywords, these are the things we need to explain in this particular answer. Let us pen down the model answer for this. I'll just give you synopsis and show you the model answer for this particular question. You need to write down in the introduction part, what is constitutional morality? The moral values within the Constitution of India. The moral things where the constitutional provisions teach for the Indian society. The second thing in the subject part we need to discuss is the why constitutional morality is the backbone. What are the reasons? What are the provisions, like preamble? What preamble teaches? fundamental rights, DPSP. What are the teachings of preamble? What are the teachings of DPSP? What are the teachings of fundamental rights? We need to discuss. And lastly, we need to have a conclusion. In the conclusion part, as part of the conclusion or before the conclusion, you need to give the recent Supreme Court judgments and say that constitutional morality is really the backbone of the Indian Constitution. Look at the answer. The doctrine of the constitutional morality safeguards and upholds the enforcement of the rule of law in India. See, constitutional morality ensures that rule of law is followed, law which is supreme is followed. It recognizes this distinction and non-homogeneity and promotes diversity, helping to make the society more inclusive. The moral values, the constitutional morality ensures that the diversified nation, homogenic nation, where different types of people are involved, come together, and where the law ensures it respects each and everyone's opinion. It also promotes people to be an active participant of the system and fight the inequalities and non-constitutional elements. See, it makes a citizen active. This is called citizen activist. By questioning the system, criticizing the policies, whereby bringing the moral values. There are 4 important elements of the Constitution which are part of or linked to the constitutional morality. 1. Preamble. The first one is preamble, where it talks about justice of social, economic and political. 2. Liberty of thought, expression, faith, belief, worship. Equality of status and opportunity, fraternity, and ensuring the dignity of an individual. The fundamental duties, the 11 fundamental duties, teach us the moral values, perspective of a citizen. The fundamental rights, this is the fundamental rights, these are fundamental duties. The fundamental rights put the limitation on state's power. Put the limitations on state power. Directive principles of state policy ensures that gives what principles to be followed by the state in giving policies. What philosophical principles to be followed by the state in giving policies. These are the points you need to mention in your subject and as well as the introduction. But if you look at the question, it also asked about the judicial judgments. Look at some judicial judgments we have discussed about the constitutional morality by the Supreme Court in recent cases. The first case is 2015 Krishnamurthy case, where the court held that democracy expects prevalence of a genuine orderliness, positive property, and dedicated discipline, and also sanctity, and ensure constitutional morality, which is a pillar stone of the good governance. So this is one case where Supreme Court said constitutional morality is the pillar stone of the good governance. This one line is enough. You have to mention that. Justice Ks.Puttaswamy case of 2018. Supreme Court held that constitutional morality ensures that court must neutralize the excesses of the power by the executive and strike down any legislation or even executive action which is unconstitutional. Supreme Court said, constitution, any law or any policy against the constitutional morality should be struck down. The third case, I am just giving you a reference, Government of National Capital Territory of Delhi case 2018, the court equated constitutional morality to the second basic structure doctrine. See what importance the judiciary is giving to constitutional morality. What is the meaning of basic structure doctrine? The constitution cannot be amended, which takes away the basic structure doctrine or the basic features of the basic structure doctrine. Similarly, in this case of Government of NCT Delhi case, it said, the court said, anything which takes away the constitutional morality values cannot be entertained. Constitutional morality check the arbitrary use of the power by the legislature and executive. In the Sabarimala case, next case, which is called Indian Young Lawyers Association case, Sabarimala case, Supreme Court bypassed the doctrine of essentiality to uphold the supremacy of the constitutional morality. What is essential? What is non-essential? I don't care. Constitutional morality is something which I care. And constitutional morality is stressed in the recent Supreme Court cases in the following way. I want everyone to remember this for the exam. So these are the things you should give. In the conclusion, you should say that these are the reasons which makes the constitutional morality the backbone of the Indian Constitution. Constitutional morality brings in the good governance of the country, good governance in the country. Constitutional morality is a pillar stone, of the Indian Constitution. So this is the answer you need to write for the question which is asked just before. Let me go to the next question now. Yes. Look at the question, very simple question. The Indian Constitution was not drafted in a single day, comment. See, the Indian Constitution was not drafted in a single day, comment, just a comment. Tell me your views. What are the facts? Very simple question. This is related to evolution of the Constitution. This is related to evolution of the Constitution. What is this? The Indian Constitution was not drafted in a single day. Was not drafted in a single day, comment. It talks about the evolution. See, Constitution came into force on January 26th, 1950. What exactly happened before the Constitution came into force is what the question is all about. Because it is a 10 marker, you can't write from 18th century or 19th century. You need to stick on the exact points. Now, what to write in the introduction, what to write in the subject, and what to write in the conclusion. Introduction. Coming to the introduction part. You have to define the Constitution. Constitution is a codified document, written codified document, which consists of certain provisions like your articles, schedules, parts, etc. This Constitution is a primary law of the land. All other laws are called the secondary laws. It took 2 years, 11 months and 18 days to draft the Indian Constitution. You have to come to the subject now. You have to come to the subject. In the subject, you have to keep the heading as evolution of the Constitution. Evolution of the Constitution. And you need to start writing you need to start writing the timeline analysis. Year-wise of whatever happened in the evolution of the constitution, you need to mention. For example, I'll tell you this. You can start from 1922. In 1922, Mahatma Gandhi in his magazine called Young India said, the destiny of India shall be decided by Indians alone. The future of India shall be decided by Indians alone. In 1925, a all-party meeting headed by Mahatma Gandhi held at Delhi drafted Commonwealth of the India Bill and sent to the Labour Party in England. 1925. In 1927, Simon Commission was formed to provide the recommendations for the future acts in India, where this was boycotted. In 1928, Motilal Nehru came with Nehru Report. Motilal Nehru came with Nehru Report, where it talked about or it discussed about certain constitutional provisions. 1928 is very, very, very important. 1934 is important for the exam. Why? M.N. Roy is the first Indian to demand a separate constituent assembly with only Indians to draft the constitution. M.N. Roy is the first Indian to demand a separate constituent assembly with only Indians to draft the constitution. 1936, the Indian National Congress session of 1936 took a resolution that no constitution for India given by outside India is applicable in India. Meaning, Indians are very keen that they need a constitution. 1946, Cabinet Mission Plan came to India and established Constituent Assembly. The Constituent Assembly consisted of 389 members. All 389 members are Indians, and the purpose of the Constituent Assembly is to draft the constitution. So, the first meeting of the draft Constituent Assembly held on December 9th, 1946. The first meeting of the Constituent Assembly held on December 9th, 1946, where Dr. 𝗧𝗦𝗔𝗧 𝗚 was appointed as the temporary president of the Constituent Assembly. On December 11th, 1946, Dr. Babu Rajendra Prasad and 𝗧𝗦𝗍 Mukherjee were elected as the President and Vice President of the Constituent Assembly. December 13th, 1946, historical objective resolution was initiated by Nehru, and this was passed on January 22nd, 1947. Objective resolution was initiated on December 13th, 1946 and passed on January 22nd, 1947. We have something called June 3rd. We have something called June 3rd plan, or this is also called Mountbatten Plan. June 3rd plan of 1947, Mountbatten Plan, decided to give independence and create two separate countries. July 22nd, national flag designed by Pingali Venkayya was adopted. National flag designed by Pingali Venkayya was adopted. We have something called, the next one is August 15th, 1947. India attains the independence, but the constitution was not formed yet. So, on August 29th, 1947, drafting committee was formed. Drafting committee consisted of 7 members. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar as a chairman, T.T. Krishnamachari, N. Madhav Rao, K. Munshi, Syed Sadullah, Gopalaswamy Iyengar, Krishnaswamy Iyer. All these members are part of the drafting committee to draft the constitution. On February 12th, 1948, the constitutional advisor B.N. Rao has provided the first draft of the constitution. Provided the first draft of the constitution. Right? On November 4th, 1948, the final draft of the constitution was initiated in the Constituent Assembly, and on November 26, 1949, Constituent Assembly passed the constitution. On January 26th, 1950, the Constituent Assembly passed the constitution. This is not done in one day. This took time. Look at the timeline. This was not drafted in one day. Ends, the conclusion part ends. The constitution was not drafted in one single day. It was evolved by the course of a period. It evolved by the course of the period. This is the answer you need to write for this particular question. This is the answer you need to write for this particular question. Now let me go to the next question. Evaluate the significance of the preamble of the Constitution of India. Is it the part of the Constitution? Is it the part of the Constitution? Substantiate. Very important question. It talks about evaluate the significance of the preamble of the Constitution of India. Is it part of the Constitution? Is it part of the Constitution? Substantiate. Now what are we going to write for this? What are we going to write for this? Try to understand. You need to define the preamble. You need to define the preamble first. You need to define the preamble first. What is preamble? Preamble is a summary of the Indian Constitution. Preamble is the introductory part of the Indian Constitution. Preamble is compared to objective resolution of the Indian Constitution. But preamble will neither give power to the legislature in making the law, nor preamble provide authority for judiciary to review any law. Meaning, preamble is not giving power to the legislature to make laws, nor it is giving power to judiciary in reviewing the laws. Then the question comes, is preamble part of the Constitution? This we need to look in the subject. Is preamble part of the Constitution? Firstly, why this question came? The question came because preamble is not giving power to the legislature, nor preamble is giving power to the judiciary. Then is preamble part of the Constitution is a question mark. For this purpose, we need to look at 3 major Supreme Court cases. Case number 1, 𝗂𝗧𝗧 versus Union of India case, 1960. In 𝗂𝗧𝗧 versus Union of India case, Supreme Court said, preamble is not part of the Constitution because it is not giving power to the Parliament, nor it is giving power to the judiciary. So, it is not part of the Parliament. Preamble is not part of the Parliament. The next case we need to look at is 𝗂𝗽𝗱𝗁 𝗓𝗏𝗧 case, preamble said two things. Point number 1. Yes, I too agree. Preamble, Supreme Court said, I too agree that preamble is neither giving power to the legislature nor giving power to the judiciary. But even though it is not giving power to both, preamble is part of the parliament. Because what is preamble? Preamble is nothing but the summary of the constitution. Preamble is not a different thing. It is a summary of the constitution. So only preamble is part of the constitution. Meaning Supreme Court overruled its previous judgment. In its previous judgment, Supreme Court said preamble is not part of the constitution. But Supreme Court in Kezhavananda Bharati case 1973, it said preamble is part of the constitution and it can be amended also, but the basic features of the preamble cannot be amended. The third case is 𝗧𝗦𝗔𝗧 versus Union of India case 1995. The Supreme Court accepted its version which Supreme Court said in Kezhavananda Bharati case and upheld whatever Supreme Court mentioned in Kezhavananda Bharati case. Supreme Court overruled its decision in Kezhavananda Bharati case. Supreme Court upheld its decision in 𝗧𝗦𝗔𝗧 versus Union of India case. So these are the things you need to mention for this particular answer. This is a very important question. These type of content you need to know. One thing you should know now is to get knowledge, to get content, to get dig into the subject, get more content. Writing an answer depends upon how much content you know. So first let us know the content, then start writing the answer. This is the way you should take the mains preparation forward. So this is your chapter 1, class 1. For the same chapter 1, I will be taking one more class. I'll see you in the next class. Till then, happy learning. Jai Hind.